Got it.
Yeah, I do. All right. Welcome to the Rockhound Podcast. We have a super cool show for you tonight planned. It's a theme show and it's on crystals. So if you love crystals, this show is for you. If you don't, you're going to love them after the show is over. So with that, our guest tonight needs no introduction, but I'm going to let him do so anyway. Jared?
My name is Jared, and I run the YouTube channel and the website, currently Rockhounding, and now the podcast, co-hosting the podcast previously Rockhounding.
Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back.
Thank you. It's been 5 months. 5 months.
5 months. Last time you're on is episode number 35.
Well, it's been great to see the show grow over these past 5 months. I think I've caught just about every single one of them.
Nice. Thank you. And
thank you very much.
Yeah. How about you? Who are you, Kyle?
I'm Kyle with World of Rockhounds here in Oregon. And yeah. Kurt.
I am Kurt with Rockhounding.Adventures out here in Western Colorado.
Nice. And I'm Karen with Ozone Fine Art Ventures out here on the freezing, rainy, windy Oregon coast.
Oh yeah, I guess it is kind of windy, huh?
Weren't you guys supposed to get like tornadoes yesterday?
Tornadoes.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just over the coast range from me, and yeah, like we didn't get any of that, but we did get kind of walloped. I'm kind of hoping that this storm uncovers some of the sand because I've been complaining about that. Yeah, so it's okay. Go ahead, carry on with your storming and your squalling. All right, so you know who we are. A quick moment for the shouts. Last week it was the viewer show and tell, so thank you all so much for sending in your captivating and amazing minerals and rocks and projects. You know who you are. And we're compiling the next one. Somebody asked, like, I forgot to send them in. When's the next one? It's when you guys fill our inbox in the email, honestly. So send in your pictures and your stories to the email in the description, and we'll go ahead and throw the next show and tell when it fills up. So that could be quite soon, depending on how many awesome things you guys are sharing with us, which is like growing, increasing in numbers all the time. Thank you so much for that. You guys are awesome. Congratulations also go out to Tyler of Geode Cracker and Collector channel. He's got a new bouncing baby boy, and we'd like to send our congrats from the whole crew. City Rockhound, Dustin Finds Rocks, and Scott Lambright were expressing just how much they love this community, and I mean we all are just filled with love. Last week was really all about community. You know, it was everybody coming together and showing their stuff, which is always so cool. Dustin Finds Rocks also was super stoked over the Lego kit success. Yes. Kyle wins.
Now I was gonna wait. Now let's go wait for it to hit shelves.
Yeah.
I think that you might be waiting a little bit for that.
Well, maybe, fingers crossed, maybe they'll release them early. That'd be nice.
Hope for Christmas. Hope for Christmas.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be the best time to release stuff. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I think they'd probably be affordable as well. Like, I mean, the number of pieces in them is relatively small. And
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks everybody for supporting that endeavor. I know a lot of people got out there and did their own Lego work on that. Sorry. Claude from Kalgoorlie has been rewatching our episodes on a 55-inch TV. I can't imagine my face that big. That's terrible. It's amazing, he says. You miss a lot watching on your phone, which, that is a contrast. And I was wondering, so then how do you guys out there watch the podcast? That made me wonder, is everybody watching it on like, huge screens, which is kind of scary, or
don't make me check the analytics. I will know.
Oh, it's true.
That's true.
We know what you're doing? I'm just curious though. Yeah, if you want to let us know. Mary Beth says that she keeps on forgetting to send her pictures in. Great news. Like I said, we're always working on the next one. She also had some great tips for Kyle on polishing rose quartz and for everybody else out there. So check that out in the comments of last week's podcast, the Viewer Show and Tell 5. And while you're at it, go ahead and watch it if you haven't already. Rick, rock and roll Rockhound Rick, like unofficial Makers Challenge winner there, thanked us for showing the Flintstone mobile. And Rick, thank you for sharing it with us. And he wants to let everybody know that he does have a video out there on YouTube so that you can see him making it. And so he followed through with the whole Makers thing. Donna Baudin, Josh Gibson, California Gleanin, Cynthia Foss, Cliff Walker, Rockhounding, Michael Robertson, and all dug it, as well as all of you in the chat. That was such a blast last week, and I bet you're doing it right now. So carry
bet
on.
You $5.
Yep. And them's the shouts. So on to everybody's week. Jared, how was your week?
My week was good. I mean, most of my weeks are good because they involve lots of rock related things. This past week, we launched our own podcast, actually, me and my wife. It is a little different than what you guys see here. It's audio only, so no video, but it's called the Previously Rockhounding Podcast. And we have a big stack of rock and gem magazines from 1974 to 1985, and we're doing a read through. So we pull off an issue, I read it, Sarah reads it, we come together on the show and discuss the rock hounding and lapidary of ye olden days.
So cool.
Yeah,
so
it's quite interesting. Yeah, you could find that everywhere, like Amazon Music, Apple, Google, Spotify, RSS feed, my website. It's all up there. And yeah, so far we've done 4 episodes, 3 real episodes. There's an episode 0, and
previously, yeah.
And no, it's definitely interesting. There's a lot has changed. A lot has remained pretty much the same though. So it's kind of interesting to go through it. And we also do a lot of research. So, they talk about an artist's profile as an example. And it's interesting to see what happened to them after the issue.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Cool.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. And we can get into it a little bit later more, but like the price differences of things.
Some of it, even if you adjust for inflation, it's still like crazy cheap, super cheap. Like, and I don't know, I haven't ever looked at another rock and gem magazine of current times. But yeah, just the prices and the abundance of stuff. I like that you can sign up for $70 and get like 200 pounds of agate mailed to you.
Right?
Nice.
It's not a
You'll
bad
have to
deal.
do a back to the future video or episode where you guys like can compare, a date to a date, like, April 1st in 79 as opposed to, that might be a neat idea at some point.
It would be funny if like in your magazine, like there's a company advertising so much product and that company still exists today. Call them up, let them know, hey, you got this magazine, like you want this deal? And
so there has been a couple of those where they're like send away for a catalog, stuff like that. So I've sent out a couple now. I've yet to hear back. Maybe
that would be awesome. So what else is going on for your week, or is that pretty much the top of the glass?
We're coming into summer now, so lots and lots of trip planning is happening. So that's a lot of just sitting at the computer figuring out where we're going to be going for the next 6 months. So lots of that. Did a little bit of mine exploration because now things are thawing out, and I have a laundry list of abandoned mines that I want to go visit
Nice.
this summer. So
Doesn't
Yeah.
everyone?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Take the show underground. That's the way. That's how you got to do it.
There you go.
Awesome.
Nice.
Right on.
Yeah.
So hey, Kyle, how about yours?
Well, I keep mine pretty short. I had a notable break on me, and then I decided not to work in the shop for the rest of the week.
Oh, do you have a punching bag at home? Because that's how I
Mm.
fix those problems.
No, I have a dartboard in the back of on the back side of the house that if I need to think or something, I'll just go there and just throw darts.
Darts.
But yeah, it was breaking, and I was getting frustrated. Like, I'm just gonna put this down, gotta stop, and just not deal with it for the rest of the week. So
Wow.
yeah, breaking
Prudent.
opal, not the best way to start the week.
It was an unintentional break, though.
Yeah, and it
It was
was. I was recording it too because the initial plan was to work these opals and have it ready for Wednesday's video. Of course, what you saw Wednesday was just basically the aftermath of what had happened, and apparently there's a way to. I've been getting some different reviews of like what people do to treat their opals or to pre-work or pre-prep, like working their opals. Some people say to soak your opals for like a week before you start working it and to let it dry out, so that way if it does break, it breaks and it won't break again. But yeah, it was to the point where one of the pieces I was working on, and I have it on camera too, like I'm working it and you just see a crack just it just appeared out of
That's the
nowhere.
worst feeling.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so what happened was I you guys will see this in the video when it eventually comes out, hopefully. But I had like this little special like custom slab grabber that I use for like really small stones for the trim saw. And initially I thought I broke the opal because I added a little bit too much pressure on it and the small piece all chipped off. I'm like, okay, whatever. Then after I cut it, I'm like, oh, there's some fracturing going on. Did I cause that? So I thought maybe I caused it. But no, I think it got wet. And
just opal being opal.
opal being opal. So I will try to readdress working on them, I think, this weekend and just see how they turn out and then let them dry out again because Ethiopian opal is weird.
Are they Ethiopian?
Yep.
Oh, remember what I told Theo that I won't touch them? They're haunted for me. like
So
Kyle, maybe I'll help you with a round two, and I'll get you some of our Washington fire opal.
that's probably a lot more stable. Well, I can always help you polish that one piece that you got. That nice
yeah,
little
I have. There's a bunch of it now.
Yay.
So I'll shoot a piece your way.
Sounds good. But yeah, so just briefly, and I'll go over this in the video when it comes out too. But the Ethiopian opal, oh my gosh, the Ethiopian. Whose cat's meow? Is that your cat?
That's
No,
mine.
not mine.
I'm like, that doesn't sound like Tucker.
It's not coconut.
But the Ethiopian opal, it's really interesting. So if you go to a vendor, they have like a tray of like wet opals and they have a tray of dry opals. So I bought some dry opals. What will happen is if you're working it, the opal will rehydrate with the water and it'll start turning like a clear color. And it's really interesting how it happens. Well, once you stop working it and you allow the opal to dry out, it turns like a milky, cloudy color. And it takes actually several days for it to regain that color, like the color bars back. So that's when I'm in the stage of waiting to see what happens with it drying back out to make sure there's no more cracks that show up. And then I'm going to work it again. If more cracks happen, then I'm probably just going to crush it up and like maybe inlay it in a ring or something. Because at that point, I'm like, I'm done. I'm done.
You're epoxy, pal.
I will stick with my fire obsidian. Thank you. At least I don't have to worry about the cracking when it gets, wet and then dries back out. I just have to worry about the natural cracks and imperfections in the stone that I can't see. So,
yeah.
Kurt.
Well, I'll just keep it short. I haven't really been up to too much. I was planning on getting a video out last week, but I ended up running out of time working, and I just wasn't able to get it out. And I've just on the side just been kind of cleaning some Laguna Lace agates with muriatic acid and some other stones that I have. I was working on a larimar cabochon. Same thing happened. It cracked right down the
No.
center.
Oh, you guys.
And I fixed it, but you can definitely see that crack there. So I may just break it in half and make two pieces, or may make a piece of wire wrap with a piece of wire going right over that crack so you don't see it. Not sure yet.
Make a best friends forever necklace.
Be fried.
There you go.
Kyle, what's that treatment that I think it originates from Japan, where you
Kintsugi.
yeah, I knew you knew the word and it was like gone out of my head, but maybe you could do that, Kurt.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I'm not sure what that product is, but I will look into it. And I think this upcoming Monday, I'm gonna try and do a little short video on larimar and polishing it, the cab. So yeah, but that's pretty much been my week. And real quick, every time I'm looking at the screen, and looking at Kyle, it keeps tripping me out because his light that's behind him looks like a ponytail.
Like an anime ponytail.
Yeah.
I might have just don't mind my pants.
Oh man. There you go.
Oh, he's gonna make a
got
halo.
A halo.
Yeah. That's appropriate. There we go.
There we go.
Perfect.
There you go.
Perfect.
Perfectly framed.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Little angel I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Kurt, was that your week then?
Yeah, that was pretty much everything.
Sweet. Thank you. And thank you, Kyle. And thank you, Jared. I'm supposed to be doing Kyle's job of thanking everyone. I guess it's my week now. So I dropped the petrified wood video from when we had the adventure going out to the valley on the private property, and that was a super fun thing. And people were asking, well, what's going to happen with it? I got to ID one of the pieces, maybe. You really need thin sections, but I got darn close. I'd say I'm about 90% sure that I have an ID on one of the pieces, which is super exciting. And so yeah, part two's coming soon. I am getting a few things from High Tech so that I can do some flat lappery. I was running low on stuff. I know, Kurt, you totally commiserate with this, like when you need more discs.
Yep.
All right. And then made a quick short because meanwhile I was playing in the jewelry studio with petrified wood. And so I did a start to finish on the make of a pair of petrified wood and serpentinite earrings. And I'm working now on a video that should be out this weekend. And it is a beach hunt. I got out there for a couple of hours in between squalls, and you get to see like gray doom is over there, and droplets on the rocks. And there weren't any washouts, but I couldn't not go to the beach. I'm like, I don't care if there's nothing there, I'm going down. So I'm going to treat you to some of the cool things that we got to see there. And again, super busy in the jewelry studio, coming up with some new designs. This whole breaking stones chi that you guys have. I decided that I really needed to use my hammer and hammer metal for such an occasion. So I was taking my frustrations out with hammering and fabrication, setting my artwork on fire. And so that was good stuff. That is the weeks. And so on to the Crystalicious chatter.
Well, I have to comment on your week real quick.
Oh, yeah.
When are we going to see you make thin sections?
That's a really, really good question. I've been trying to work out exactly how I'm doing them, because usually in a scientific lab, you have a thin section machine. Poof, you make a wish, it's your command, and
you don't have that machine.
I do not have a thin section machine. Those are really spendy. Although me and Nira, you guys all remember Nira of Geo Rock Nerd, we were actually talking about this one machine that had gone up on like Craigslist or eBay or something. Like, we could pitch in and we could buy it. But I actually, Jared, have been working on how to make the thin section on the flat lap. And really what one of the reasons, the objectives of getting a faceting machine, I want to facet sunstones, yes, and make pretties, but really like the ulterior motive to begin with was to make thin sections on that, because you got a table maker. You know, you can hold it, and then you have a dot transfer, and then you do the other side and you throw it on the slide. Usually you put the thing on the slide first and then start that kind of tomfoolery, but I'm not entirely sure I'm going to be able to do quite that. I'm going to play with it, but you better believe that I will bring you along.
I want to see that.
Whatever craziness it is that I come up with to finally be able to do it, because I needed to be able to take the 3 directions, and you'll see this in my video. And now that I have the saw set up and I have big enough samples to be able to take the 3 sections, which you see in the end of the video, nothing's stopping me now. Like, you guys are all going to like have to go down the nerd rabbit hole with me.
We're okay with that.
Sounds good.
Let's do it.
Good question though, Jared. Yeah, because believe me, I've been like, you know, having sleepless nights, like, how am I going to make thin sections? So yeah. And now I'm going to toss a question back at you, Jared. What, like, we're having a crystal night. Like, this is a celebration of crystals. And so what is a crystal anyway?
A crystal is anything that has an orderly structure. So as an example,
not my studio.
No, not this, not your studio. So just as an example, something with an orderly structure that many people probably can just recognize, a quartz crystal. And what makes it a crystal is the atomic structure is replicated. And if you were able to see it, you would see that's how the atoms are arranged. So that's the basics of it. And lots of things fall into that category of a crystal structure. So that's orderly.
That's the best succinct definition of crystal I think I've ever heard, except for Kyle's.
A crystal is the way that it is, because the way that it is. I said it better earlier. You can tell that it's a crystal by the way that it is.
There you go. Sold. Yeah. And so I think that you brought along some pretty cool interesting crystals. That now, are these crystals that follow the directions of being a crystal well, or are these like bad boy rebel crystals?
I would say that they are a little bit of an outlier as far as what people think of when you think of crystals. I mean, most people are thinking of your quartz and amethyst. Maybe some people are thinking of pyrite. Pyrite's a popular one where, if you're to take that really nice electron microscope and you could see those atoms, it would be little cubes until you get to a visual scale. So what I have here is I have some magnetite crystals, and magnetite's it's an interesting one. It's a octahedral crystal.
I'm so glad that you were the one that wanted to say that.
And yeah, it's not something that you would typically think of, but as you can clearly see, we have clear orderly fashion to the crystals. I think it's also kind of interesting because it has a lot of industrial uses, or at least it did at one point in time. Magnetite back in, I think it was like 1930, 1931, they were in Germany, they were grinding it up and making audio tapes out of it. So like the magnetic
interesting
tape. So like it's both kind of aesthetically pleasing when you have the crystals, because magnetite is usually just in a big mass, right? But like basically almost everything can form an orderly crystal structure if it has the room to do so. A good example of that would be feldspars, right? So your granites, the pink in that is feldspar. So quartz, feldspar, and biotite makes up almost all granites. And granite, it's a magma chamber that has cooled down, and it cooled really slow, and there's not a lot of space in there, right? So that's why you don't have a very nice orderly structure being built, because there's no space. And then when you do have space, you have something like this, an orthoclass feldspar, and these are, well, they're big, and you can kind of see that we have this crystal structure in here. This would be when you have the space for it to grow. And that's kind of the real basics of crystals. I mean, the bigger the crystal, the more time it took to grow, and the bigger the space, bigger the cavity that it had to grow in. So and that kind of just starts with minerals dissolved in water. Ions precipitate out, and you start things growing out there. That's the man. Hopefully nobody that's a crystal expert listens to my explanation here, because that's the cliff notes. That's the cliff notes of how crystals form. But like the orthoclass feldspars, like these are really, really neat. They have a monoclinic crystal structure. They're very, very easily identified. Actually, I picked this up in Montana. So yeah.
Shout out to Theo, who's still in
Theo,
Florida.
Hope State Pass, buddy. But there are lots of things come in a crystalline form that maybe you don't think of. And I think your feldspars, your magnetites are certainly that. I mean, I still to this day, I have these. I have a ton of crystals that aren't showy crystals, but they're not what I think of when somebody says a crystal.
Again, I respectfully disagree, because those magnetite crystals are beautiful.
Well, thank you.
They're Kyle's best friend, though. Everybody has to know. How come, Kyle? Why are
because that's where the fire obsidian gets its color from nanocrystallized magnetite. It's obsidian, but that layer, that super thin layer, I mean, super thin. Everyone should already know this by now. Yeah, I think dusting would even be considered too thick. I mean, it's almost like oil on water. It's just like, it's so thin, just super thin. But nanocrystallized magnetite, that's where it gets its color from.
I didn't know that. Didn't know that about that. That's interesting.
I should try to find a really small piece that's thin enough to see if you can put on your underneath your microscope and see if you can get some pictures of it.
That would be cool.
Somebody sent me
it would have
a
to be under her microscope.
I also need both a piece. I mean,
yeah.
I think that somebody like you has sent me a piece. I should put that.
Oh yeah, that's right. I did, didn't I?
Yeah. Oh, I should have totally feigned ignorance and gotten another piece. What am I talking about here?
Oh, dang it.
Yeah, missed opportunity. Well, I'll see if that's thin enough, and if not, gosh,
I have a bunch of like
a thin section of nano magnetite.
That's what needs to happen when I master thin sections. You see, here's my deal. They made them before there were thin section machines. Mm-hmm. Back in Vantage, Washington, when what's the guy's name? Discovered the whole petrified forest there. He was making thin sections. Wasn't on a machine. So I can do it.
You can do it by hand.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Talk about never being bored. Like endings. So.
I'm a DJ.
Yeah. 2 sandpapers and a microphone. Yeah. Sorry. So sorry.
No, that was good.
Okay. Yeah, show yourself out now. So continue though. That was like you were on a roll. Like you had feldspars and porphyry happening there.
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to show some crystals that are classic, well-defined crystals, but people don't usually think about. So I think Kyle's got some crystals for us to look at, maybe.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Catch me off guard.
It's like Jared's objective this evening.
Yep.
Mission successful. Anyway, so I went to the Rick Real Rock Show this last weekend, and I got a few specimens, and typically when I go to the shows, I'm looking for more interesting material, not so much as doing a whole bunch of like trinket shopping, because I spent my good time at a rock shop at rock shows, so I go for more unique items.
Fire.
What?
Fire.
No, I'll tell you what I bought. So I got some polyhedroid agate slabs. I got 2 of them. They had 3 of them, but they didn't take cards, so I had to go get cash, and they weren't cheap. And so I got those. I got the opals. I got 3 anhydro crystals, which I'll show here in a second. I think. Oh, and then a few points of. Oh my gosh, I forgot the name of the crystal. But I bought it's not quartz, it's a different apophyllite. I think it's apophyllite crystals, but they're like little natural points. They're really cool. But yeah, my main thing I got was these anhydro crystals, and I actually got the thing they are from the Brandenburg region in Namibia.
Wow.
No, I'm sorry. Namibia?
Namibia.
Namibia.
Namibia. Papa.
I'm covering the same wavelength right there.
That was weird. It must be an Oregon thing.
So I'll go in order here. So I sent Karen some some videos of these crystals. So I'll do the smallest one in order. So Karen, I sent them in order from smallest to largest. So the video will actually be up in front of us, but just for size reference, like these are pretty small crystals. I personally like anhydro crystals just because they're kind of, they're not super rare. They're just kind of cool looking. But these ones are borderline amethyst, as they have a little bit of purple in them. The smallest one, I believe it had a sticker on it. So there's 4 micro bubbles in there, but I think I only saw like 2 or 3. But they're super small bubbles. I took video to try to zoom in so you can actually see what I'm seeing, because like trying to use a zoom camera, that's not going to happen.
Ironically, because of the name, but yeah. No.
Right. But yeah, I thought they were kind of cool. I think I spent like about $109 on 3 of these crystals.
Wow.
And I'll be adding them to my shelf of like anhydro crystals that I have here in the room. Like I have a fair amount. I didn't need them. I wanted them. So there is a difference between need and want.
Don't let them dehydrate.
I was going to say, they have their own little humidifier next to them.
Keep them out of sunlight and keep them out of freezing weather.
Yes.
Ooh. Too soon?
Yeah.
Too soon, Kurt?
Too soon? No. If you want, I can send you one of the ones I have. Just not sure how pure it is.
Pure.
And then the second one here, it's a little bit bigger. Not really much bigger, maybe 2 times bigger than the last one. But this one, it had an arrow pointing to one of the larger bubbles, but there's actually a couple bubbles in there. And that's what I find kind of interesting about some of these anhydros that I come across at shows. Sometimes they'll be like, oh yeah, there's like one bubble in there, but a lot of the times with some of these certain quartz, just based off the structure, if you look close enough, you can actually find more than just one bubble.
Wow.
But yeah, these are all kind of like borderline amethyst. Off topic just briefly, because I know that like some of the clips I put in are a little bit longer. But a long time ago when I used to volunteer at a rock shop, we were going through an estate that we just got in. And so we're pricing everything, and there was this one really beautiful, like dark amethyst quartz point, and we were just like, okay, whatever, like $20. Until I moved it just right, and it was a large point. I mean, it probably like 3 times bigger than this middle one here. And the hugest bubble came out of nowhere. It was massive. I'm like, I think the price just went up on this piece, and I would like to have it, but then someone else came in and they bought it anyway. So I'm like, dang it. But it was really cool. It was a nice deep purple. And the largest point I got here, it's a really fatty piece, but it's got a decent sized bubble towards the center of the stone. And in the video, I try to get a decent picture from different angles of the bubble moving around. And I'm more than willing to bet there's more actually floating around in this little piece here. But again, I haven't looked at them in too much depth, just the ones that are noticeable. I'm sure tonight I'll be looking at them more closely to see what else I can find, because there's usually more than one. I should do a video at some point of all the different hydros I have on my shelf. Need to wash them up first to get all the dust off.
Yeah, that sounds like a great plan. I'd love to see that.
I have one particular one. I'll just get it for a second. Karen, I'll send you a picture of this one afterwards. I won't do a video on this. I'll just send a picture. But this larger one, it has multiple facets or faces on the stone.
Wow.
I think I paid $10 for this at a shop in, I think it was south of Newport. It might have been Depot Bay, I think. No. What's south of Newport? I forget.
Yachts?
Yeah, Yachts.
Or Walport?
Oh, no, Walport. Yeah, no, it was Walport because it was like a little pop-up little shop. Someone, yeah. So I bought this for $10 and we're on our way home. I'm like, you know what? A lot of times the double-ended, like terminated quartz like this will often have like little water bubbles in there. I found multiple bubbles in this little, and they're not huge bubbles, but they're little ones. I'm like, oh, I just got an hydro for like $10. Like that was like steal. And I only got it because I thought it was cool. And I might actually just send a clip that we can kind of see all those the different facets of the stone. I might dust it off I'll dust it off first before I send you a picture. And use the hair dryer to dry it off before I take a video. I've done that before, so I can get a nice picture because it really helps show us off.
Nice.
But yeah, I just have this weird obsession for unique things like in hydros, be it the quartz points or I sent Jared one that was almost empty, like a little agate nodule. But I have two more in here that are a little bit more fuller. I don't know. Natural water that's trapped in rocks. I mean, it's cool.
Well, speaking of that little anhydro agate that you sent me, you guys might want to stay tuned for next week's video.
What?
Are there changes?
I can't promise you anything, but you're just gonna have to watch. You're just gonna have to come by the channel. Watch. Yeah.
Cliffhanger. That's awesome. And I think it is interesting to try to grasp the concept of, we're talking about the crystals growing. How did the water, like the specific instance had to be so kind of exact for the water to get trapped in there? It's just kind of a mind blow to consider, especially the bigger specimens, I think.
One thing that I would love to see some testing done on the water that's in them.
Yes.
Get some anhydros and
Did you test yours, Kurt?
I did not because it wasn't there to test.
Oh, that's right. It was frozen.
It frozen and broke. But then the water I replaced could have been pretty old since it was up from the mountains.
It just keeps getting recycled. So
yes, exactly.
Yeah. One of the things that happens here on the beach is that we, of course, get the agatization and calcification of the fossils. And every now and again, you do get non-hydro of that. And I was polishing a spiral shell, just doing the shell, and the shell itself, the enamel was very thin and I wasn't paying attention, and it broke. And it was non-hydro.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I was like, that was middle Miocene era, like 15 million year old water. Talk about wanting to take a sample. But I was at the gallery at the time. I was like, that was one of those times where, I needed to hammer a piece of jewelry or something. This is bad.
Yeah, I remember, I can't remember which Rockhound group it was. It might have been Northwest Rockhounds at the time, but someone had, or it came in the gravel hounds, but someone had posted a picture of a nautilus or the video of a nautilus, the agatized nautilus that they found that was in an hydro. And I'm like, oh wow. I'm like,
not even fair.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, I would love to have it.
Yeah.
I want to find that. That's like up there with crab for me.
Ooh, yeah, good point.
Wow.
I mean, it depends on how big the piece is and how like well defined the Nautilus is. Like, again, you have to be careful what you wish for, because like, oh man, I wish I find like a Nautilus is in hydro. You find like a half of one, but like only like a couple of the cell structures are like actually in hydros. Like, you gotta wish for like that really nice big full piece that's just like slosh.
Oh my gosh. I have a friend that was picking up decorative basalt, and we're allowed to take a certain amount off of the beach each year as whatever Oregon people, and he picked up this one, and it had a nautiloid in it, and he was just he wasn't even looking. I was like, you weren't even looking. For all the eyes on the beach, trying to find it.
Wait, decorative basalt? Like,
Yeah.
just I mean, all basalt's decorative, but like, are we just like ocean tumbled basalt that got pushed out, or?
Yeah, we have several different flavors typically on the beach of erosion factor. We have on the head itself, you can't take the cobbles from the cobble beach, but there you go. There's a cobble.
Yeah, it's from Newport.
I betcha.
Yeah, actually just north of Newport there at Beverly. A lot of this stuff is just laying there, and like it feels nice. It's nice and tumbled. I think at one point I meant to I grabbed this to see if it'll take a polish or just to etch something into it, but I just never did. Just sit on the shelf.
Well, basalt takes an amazing polish.
Okay, I guess I'll be doing that in my next video.
I've made some basalt cabs and they look great.
Yeah. Some of the pieces, like they go from that tumbled by the ocean all the way to looking very fresh, like what you saw at the what is it, coffee pot crater over there. Yeah. And so really it just depends on where in the different layers it happens to be. Like his this is kind of one of those cobbles, but less worn as his, and it's a nursery rock. There's your agate. That's talk about crystals again. We've got the cryptocrystalline that is the agate. So it's still got the crystals, it's still got the lattice, it's still got that structure that Jared was talking about. You just don't get to see it typically.
If you have a microscope, you can see all kinds of crystals in basalt. So that's another, I mean, as that lava cools, and depending on the conditions, you can get visual crystals being produced in the basalt. If you want to go out and collect all the different basalts from all of the different flows that we have in Washington and down into Oregon, you can really line them up and see the difference and see some interesting crystals. I mean, garnets, I've found garnet in some of the basalt.
Interesting.
I know that that's like a little bit of a mind blower for people. People associate garnets with metamorphic rock and not igneous rocks, but sure enough, you can find it once you get really, really small.
Well, that's a great point, is that the contents of the different basalts have these different recipes happening, just dependent on what issued that basalt out, and they can, this is a fingerprint, from that recipe. They can figure out where that bad boy came from, especially with the different flows from the different volcanoes.
Yeah,
it's really neat. Yeah, it's an identifier. So
also your eyes, you start staring
eyes.
at enough basalt and you can pick out. I can be like, Wanapum basalt right there.
What he said. Yes.
No, no, that's absolutely true, because you can have, for example, I'm sure each one of us has our own dedicated niche of what we're good at spotting out. Like Jared has his basalts. I have mostly my obsidians. It's like, and I'm sure Karen, you can probably go on the beach like, all right, I know what that is. Which you did, because because when I met, we did like a little family outing, and Karen's like, oh yeah, this is what this is. You can go take it home, crack it open. Sure enough, there's a little shell in there.
Oh.
Saw my shelf right there.
Aw,
Here.
I made the shelf.
You did make the shelf.
Oh my gosh, I just found out, everybody. That's exciting.
Ta-da!
Okay. Right on. So more crystallicious chatter, Jared?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what, you want me to do my show and tell here, or
Whatever you're
what?
ready for. I mean, have we seen all the specimens? I want to see everything.
Well, so one of the things that I have set up now permanently back here, I love identifying rocks and minerals. It's amazing to be able to have something and go through all the process and the steps and figure out what these things are. And one of the things that I often look at is crystal structure. A lot of this stuff, like your hardness, your specific gravity, a lot of these tests, like, it's too small, right? Like, if it's too small, you have location and what you can see. And usually that comes down to crystal structure. So learning about crystals and how everything kind of has its own structure. I mean, yeah, stuff can change based upon the different temperatures that something was forming under. Like, I think diamonds are a great example. People point to diamonds a lot. Rough diamonds have a different appearance as they formed at a higher and higher temperature. So based upon the shape, they can figure out, I guess, what temperature they formed under. I don't know. I'm not a diamond guy, not yet. So, I have all this stuff now permanently set up so that I can do a lot of identifying. And I have also started micro mounting, because a lot of crystals, well, if you were to try to go out and find them all, well, you're not finding really big, amazing specimens. I mean, that's hard, right? Like, museum quality big crystals don't just happen everywhere. So your options are buying them, or you don't have them. Well,
Simple as that.
yeah. Well,
True.
tiny crystals are very, very prevalent, and you can actually build a much bigger collection of different minerals and crystals if you're looking at really small stuff. Typically, there's like a couple hundred things that most people will bring into their collection, which is very small. It's a very small number of rocks and minerals that people typically collect. However, with something 5,730 different types of minerals out there, you can collect a lot of tiny minerals. A lot of that stuff only occurs in a very tiny size. So having a microscope is amazing. It's a great tool both in identifying, learning about crystals, crystalline structures, and finding all kinds of interesting tiny tiny things that you would never have guessed. I mean, if we went back in time a little bit and you were like, oh yeah, this guy, are you finding garnets in basalt? I'd be like, no, that's not a thing that happens. Doing a bunch of research after personally seeing it, I'm like, oh, there we go. That is a possibility, but we're talking like 1/10 of a millimeter size garnet. So being able to find those things is important. One of the things that kind of is the hobby that comes along with this is, what do you do with these things, right? Like, you're finding all this tiny stuff, and like, you're gonna lose it, right? Like, you got to put it somewhere. So I've been getting into micro mounting. Now, micro mounting is the process of taking these little tiny minerals that you find, you clean them up, and you mount them on their own little pedestal. For me, it's like a little piece of cork, or like a toothpick that I've cut the tip off of, and I glue the mineral to it. And I take a little piece of construction paper that looks like a little X, and I glue it to that, and I stick it in one of these tiny little boxes, right? And it's labeled, and I put my GPS location where I found it, and the name, and all the info, which number it is in my collection, and the year that I collected it. And now you have this, you have a nice little case for this thing.
You have a museum.
Yes. And and another good thing is that it keeps it clean. So these are all clean, prepared specimens, and they're all the same height, which this thing back here, it goes up and down. So if I'm putting rocks in there, it's a lot of up and down. So these are all the same size now. And
Genius.
the little pedestals that these are getting mounted to, I'll paint them with Indian ink so that there's not a little reflection, and now I have these little mounted specimens. So this is really the basics of it. The world of micro mounting is really its own hobby within the hobby. It's very old. Micro mounting really kind of, going back to the formation of the understanding of mineralogy, people had started to do this. They were doing it with little brass cups in the end of the 1700s. So it has a long history, and we have a huge time period that this spans. However, currently, it's not really that popular of a thing. Some of the best literature on it is from the 60s. So there's books out there that tell you how to do this. There's micro mounting clubs. So people get together.
Blows my mind.
They trade these. There's calls and lectures on it. Like what I'm sharing with you right now, it's really like amateur hour here. I'm somewhat new to it. There's people that I've spoken with that have done it for 60 years. They've been taking these little tiny minerals and they've been mounting them in these little tiny P1 plastic boxes and collecting tens of thousands of them.
Wow.
But one thing that is really interesting about the whole process of it, when you start looking at these smaller and smaller crystals, is how perfect they are. Okay. Tiny crystals, virtually flawless. You can also find formations of crystals that you wouldn't typically see scaled up. So a good example would be I have a little piece of calcite right here, and I believe we will put a photo in if we can get this to focus too.
Oh, yeah.
So that little piece of calcite, I was actually a little confused by it because I had never seen calcite in this form where it's like little stacked blades.
It's so
opening
cool.
Up.
Yeah.
And it doesn't match anything that I had in any books. And it took I even tried to melt it with acid. Come to find out, not all acids will melt calcite. Which that's another thing that I learned in the process. So very interesting to really get into. And lastly, being that I'm in Washington and have a lot of access to Oregon. We both have zeolites, the zeolite group of minerals in both states, which
and your book is zeolites.
Rudy's book, Zeolites of the World. It's
so
a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. You can actually read it for free as well. Mindat has a PDF copy of that, and maybe we can even throw a link down below to that.
I'm making a note right now because I'm on it.
Otherwise, it's like a $130 book. So it's kind of one of those things where like you really have to be like, I want to dork out about zeolites, So this is actually one that Sarah found, and in here that is mounted on a toothpick, and it is a little piece of analcime, and you can see this little crystal ball.
Yeah, this
on
thing
the
is
matrix.
impossibly small.
And she found that at a road cut. So, and that's a perfect structure. It's a beautiful, beautiful little zeolite. So, I would highly recommend anybody, if you want to get a microscope, you don't have to get a microscope like this, but you can get a decent microscope for anywhere from $200 to $400 that you can start to really observe your rocks and minerals and look at these crystal structures that you have, and it can be endless entertainment.
It really is.
It really is. And me and Karen, we have different microscopes.
Yeah.
So mine is a stereo dissection microscope, so I can put something that goes from really little flat to like 9-inch rock under it and view it, and it's got 2 looking holes. That's a technical term. That's where your eyeballs go.
Because we have to.
Yeah. So I do think that's an important aspect of this if you want to get into having a microscope. Stereo microscope means you're seeing stuff in 3D, all right, which makes a big difference. So yeah, the world of micromounting is fun. What can I say?
Man, the world of micro mounting just needs to be like a t-shirt or something. It sounds so magnificent.
Yes.
I love
And
it.
if anybody is interested, the late Betsy Martin, she was an expert in the world of micro mounting, and she was also a art teacher. And then she did an illustrated guide to micro mounting. I have this scanned into a PDF format, and if anybody is out there and you would like it, shoot me an email, currently rockhounding@gmail.com. I'll email back to you.
That's awesome.
I might request one because
Yep, same.
the more you're showing it off, I'm like,
I
I have a few pieces I wouldn't mind doing that with because it might help free up some more space so I can get some more stuff on the shelves in there.
Well, and it doesn't necessarily have to be micro. It can be thumbnail size, right? So like, you can get slightly bigger boxes and you can mount your collection and label it. And I'm working on a cataloging system so that things don't get lost. I mean, the reality is, if anybody's watched my YouTube channel, we go rock hounding a lot, and it's kind of started to build up. There's a decent amount of rock here now, and I'm turning my attention to smaller rocks, I guess.
Won't be so heavy and they're easy to pack up.
Yeah, I mean, you can have a micro collection that has thousands of micros in like a little space, so it doesn't take up much space, and it's very cool to be able to build out your collection there. So
Kurt, I think it was maybe last week we were talking about like how impossibly small, like you were finding ammonites or something like that.
Yeah, that was just on my head, like in my brain. I was just thinking of that. It's like I got some really micro tiny fossils.
Oh, that would
yeah,
be
I mean,
so cool.
A microscope, a couple $100, and you can pick one up
And micro mount them so that you can just glorify
preserve them for all of time.
I'll have to try that out. I was just going through my Kentucky collection, and I was like, I remember this. And there's a bunch of tiny little fossils, like gastropods, ammonite looking things, brachiopods, just like the size of like a grain of salt or around that size. But yeah, that'd be really, really cool to do that.
Awesome.
A nice, I mean, it's a good winter hobby, right? Like I know me and Kurt, we live in the frozen like tundra, so it gets rough in the wintertime when you can't spend a lot of time doing lapidary in your shop, and we don't own flamethrowers, so we can't melt down the spot.
Future purchase.
Need to get the sponsorship.
Flamethrower, and you're set. Wintertime rock hounding.
That would be interesting video to watch. Just like being out on the mountainside, covered in snow with a stream. I'm gonna heat this puppy up and just like blast a big flame over the creek.
One way to do it.
Oh man, that would be that would be viral. I am pretty sure.
Yeah.
It's a big video to make. Yep.
What's the guy doing out there? Always look for rocks, but he's got to clear the way first.
Oh dear. Right on. Let's see. Well, hey Kurt, do you have a show and tell?
Okay, so anyways, so for my show and tell, these are the first one is this is just this really small amethyst crystal that I found out here in Western Colorado, and I have some better points of these. I just don't know exactly where they are at the moment.
We were just talking about that.
But yeah. And Karen actually made a really beautiful pendant out of some that I sent her.
That was a
around
pleasure.
Back.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Quite some time ago.
I'm not paying attention to him, and that's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, I get it.
Totally.
Tucker does the same thing.
Yeah. So do my cats. And also the next crystal I will show is this is a little batch of calcite crystals from Greece.
Nice.
From Greek explorers sent me for my birthday.
Nice.
And
Does that fluoresce?
that is a great question. I don't have my black light with me. Kyle, can I see yours real quick?
I'm
just joking.
Yeah, pass that over, man. I know it's right there.
No, we just got to edit the handoff.
I wish I had mine to like do the handoff, but yeah. But these are from a cave of crystal, or a cave that the guy from Greek explorers, I can't remember his name, but he found a cave full of crystals, and so he calls it his cave of crystals. So these calcite crystals are from Greece, which are very beautiful, and I'll make sure to send video or photos of these to you. Is it Kyle or
It's
Karen?
me.
Okay.
Karen's editing tonight.
Yep.
Nice. And then these two I did not find either. This one is a piece of Amazonite feldspar, and you can see the crystal structure.
Yeah.
These were found by the camping couple out here in. I found them out. I believe Pikes Peak area here in Colorado.
That's like the nice version of my feldspar.
I was like whenever you showed that earlier, I was like, "Ooh, I think I have some of it somewhere." And then the final crystal is this one. This one's a large piece of
Nice.
quartz that was found out in Arkansas, also by the camping couple. I won this in one of their giveaways on their shows on Facebook when they were selling some of their stuff, and I saw Kyle in that same
we
video
want
too.
Yeah.
So very very beautiful specimen.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Big. That's so cool.
You don't need a microscope for that one.
No.
It's not a micro mount.
No.
Yeah, and what would it be if we went through this crystal conversation without mentioning the crystal collector? Want to see some crystals?
Massive amethyst.
Yeah, that you could sit in. Definitely check those out. And then also Dustin finds rocks. Definitely needs the mention here. Just incredible area there at the Haunted Ridge where there must have been a lot of room, right, Jared?
yeah you have to zoom out you need a wide angle for some of their finds out there.
Space.
Yeah.
Another channel is a
Cracker
and Collector. Because a lot of the geos that he finds have beautiful quartz and calcite crystals on the inside.
Yep.
Geodes for days.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing, Kurt. Is that all that you found? Is there more?
There's a lot more. I just don't know where it is.
Nice. Right on. Well, so I thought that what I would share would be some of the specimens that are crystals in strange places where you didn't expect them to be. But like Jared said, all you need is the room for them to grow. And so first off, you're going to be just shocked, but I brought some petrified wood. Not that she has this on the brain. Steve found this particular piece because he always finds the very best stuff. And we were just out finding limb casts and petrified wood in Central Oregon. And this particular piece of petrified wood, where you can see the grain on the one side, and then I could not believe, like, for one thing, I'm like, this isn't what we're looking for, even though I'm like shrieking because it's a beautiful crystal cluster, but like, where's the wood? And, so there must have been a void in this tree, and the wood itself permineralized, and the void had room for the crystal structure to grow, which is, so cool. Like where the owl used to live in the tree or whatever. And so that one, Central Oregon, here's another piece of petrified wood from one of our Central Coast beaches. So this is more what they would call bogwood. And I just saw like just a little tip of this was sticking out of the sand, and I could see a ribbon of the agate glowing in the sun. And I was like, oh, cool. It's like a nice little piece of petrified wood. And then like I kicked it with my boot and the whole ground moved. I was like, what? And so what's neat though, is that it's got druzy on like pretty much all the sides. Even there's a good indication of the agate ribboning, but then there was room. And so those are our collections of crystal there as well. And, you know, I had a theory at first that this was wood that maybe had burned and then got covered in ash, but the ash part is probably true. And this is probably bog, but pretty neat stuff. Anyways. And so moving on, clam belly. So, this is a void of where you can see the clasp of the clam, and this guy got completely calcified, and then we got some teeth in there, and so this one just happened to be opened, probably was on hydro at some point, and then somebody kicked it open, broke the egg. This is one of the spiral shells that I'm just, when somebody has like the eyes for the small, like the micro crystals or Kurt's fossils, I see shells, fossil shells on the beach. This guy has a bunch of crystals right in the top. And so that's just a strange place to find crystals, although these completely agatize. So in some cases surprising, in other cases not so much. Here is an Anodara shell, and this one I picked up off of the sand, and it's completely filled with druzy quartz, or
That's so
not
cool.
probably calcite actually, but in the close-up you'll see that that's just a beautiful botryoidal, and then crazy. So the strangest place of all that I feel like I've found crystals in is bone. All right, mammal bone.
What?
Yeah, and this guy's possibly a rib. It's got the config and shape of what probably was a rib of like maybe an ancient sea lion, and we've got a whole seam of where probably one of the circulation points or something like that, or marrow, who knows, got a bunch of crystals, quartz or calcite, hanging out in there. I haven't done the test of like dissolving on my bone samples, because I do know that most of the bones have calcite in them from trying to prep them and just like zapping the big bubbly lab explosion happens, and I know for sure, okay, well that was calcite, now the poor prep is ruined. At any rate though, that's where I found most of my crystals. I haven't had the experience of finding big huge points anywhere.
Neither have I.
Not been my thing yet. So part
with
of the micro crew.
With that bone, are you gonna polish up an end of that and avoid the crystals but still polish the bone?
Possibly. I've got like that whole shelf up there is like, dozens of bones. Gem bones definitely exist out here, and I have polished up a few. And what's interesting is that they have calcite, and sometimes I think maybe even zeolite, and then because I know a lot of the basalt out here does, and then of course agate in different colors. And so I've had some blue, and I've had some clear agate with
Nice.
little fortifications, teeny weeny inside the cell fortifications. Like I'll have to share that at some point. Yeah,
Please do. I'm into that. I want to hear.
okay. Yeah, I'll if anything, maybe that would be a good video at some point, would be to share some of the micros on the bones,
Mhm.
because there's a lot of places where you can't find bones. This is one of the places that you can, and can keep them so that you can, create a slide or whatever. So yeah, maybe I'll do that. Good idea, Jared. You're hired.
Good idea.
Be part of my brain.
We need to balance out like the cosmic energy and do a host rock episode to get away from the crystal episode at some point.
There you go. Oh, I would love to do that. All right, another
We gotta do your igneous, your metamorphic, your sedimentary rocks. Let's see your sedimentary rock collection, everybody.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
Yeah. you rang
fun.
Kurt's bell. Nice. All right. Well, I think that those are the shows and tells. Is that everybody? Nope. Kyle?
We still have Theo. He sent us a video.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. In fact, his is bigger, better, faster, stronger than my show and tell. He's gonna outdo all of mine. A strange place to find crystals, and here it goes.
Podcast crew, am I recording? Yes, I am this time. I'm not gonna lie, I just did an entire take that was like a minute and a half, and I wasn't even recording. So, what's up, everybody? I'm still in Florida, if you couldn't tell, because there's like greenery and niceness and t-shirt weather. Anyway, though, I will be back soon, hopefully next week, so long as the timeline plays out the way I'm hoping it does. I miss you all. But I heard a little bird, that being, the rest of the podcast crew, telling me that there was crystals involved this week, so I've got some cool crystals of my own that we've been doing down here. Well, will be, I guess I should clarify. Look at that clam. Derek the Rockmaster gave me this one, and this was to whet my appetite because tomorrow we are going to go out to one of the best spots in Florida for these things right here, and I'm super, super, super excited. It's amazing. Look at the shine on those crystals. It's amazing. And the clarity is bonkers. Look at these. It's crazy. I love it. And then this is actually a calcified coral from the Keys. I believe Key West, he said. It's just filled with little tiny crystals. It's awesome, and I love it. It's sweet, y'all. It's so cool. Alright, well, there's my crystals. So, yeah, miss you guys and stuff, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye.
And wasn't that awesome?
That was pretty cool.
That was really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Theo.
That guy is so lucky. Like he can go over there. He goes over there quite frequently, and I wish I could afford to go over there and find some cool stuff myself because it looks fun.
I'm just jealous that he's wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah, it's snowed out here. Last week? I know out on the Yellowstone they got dumped on recently.
Oh yeah, we got a lot.
Theo's got to become Florida man.
Yeah, he's having a super good time, and he's gonna have quite the fun comeback. The shows and tells are gonna be like all show long. It's gonna be
looking forward to all of his good finds.
Oh yeah. Not that we've seen a little bit, and oh my gosh. Yeah.
A little teaser of what's to come.
All right. Well, thank you, Kyle, for not only your show and tell, but also for saving me from forgetting Theo. And I think that just lofts us straight into words of wisdom, in which I'm sure Jared has a plethora of.
Yeah, I got a couple. I've been known. I have one or two. Just because you can collect a lot at a location doesn't necessarily mean that you should. I think it's a good idea to collect with intention, have a plan for the material that you're bringing home. It's not fun to just have endless buckets that you'll never touch. It's nice to have things that you will. So maybe if you're not going to touch it or deal with it in the next couple of years, you probably just leave it for somebody else to enjoy.
I love that. It's kind of like your closet, right? If you haven't worn it for a couple of years, get rid of it.
I will say most of my collection is actually from estate sales, so I'm excluded from this.
Yeah,
I don't really pick up a whole lot.
You got grandfathered on that one.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a truckload that you're buying, that's a little different than backing it up.
Yeah,
I mean, I did the math on it once. I took a big rock and I was like, oh, if I was to slab this whole thing, how long would it take? And it would take like 22 hours of the saw running to chop it up.
Wow.
And you're like, you start to think about it like that, and like you look at a rock and you're like, how many cabs are in this one rock? Do you need 50 of those rocks? Probably not.
Yeah, because
That is
there's
such good.
there's the time in the slabbing it, but then also the time of cutting it down, the time of grinding it, and unless you have a plethora of saws going all at the same time and can afford the electric bill, and then also having a massive amount of machines and people helping you make those cabs, like, come on, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I
less is more.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. I love that. It's kind of down the road of the micro mount,
I was just
like
gonna say that.
just take the truffle, don't eat the
Mhm.
whole cake. Like it's good. I like that.
Yep.
What's your words of wisdom, Kyle?
oh, I already forgot the order here.
he thought he had more time.
I think I might backtrack to some older advice that happened in some video a while back. If you get frustrated with a project, do not be afraid to stop what you're doing and reapproach it at a later date, because when you're working angry, working frustrated, it's only going to cause more problems. You're not going to be enjoying that time that you're supposed to be enjoying. Your rock therapy is supposed to be therapeutic. But when you start getting frustrated because something's not happening like it's supposed to happen, or something unexpected happens, just step away, go do something else, come back refreshed. And it's basically what happened with my opal thing. I got frustrated. I'm like, you know what? I can't right now. Like, it was a plethora of things going wrong, one after another. I'm like, I can't, like, not right now. So last night I'm looking at videos on how to strengthen opals, basically. And I came across, I think, an older Pulitzer.
Oh yeah, Pulitzer. Oh
Yeah,
You
one of his
betcha.
videos, and he was
Yeah.
going over Ethiopian opals. Don't cut this out. Leave it in. Like, this is
I
unfiltered.
wasn't gonna.
But he was showing that they were breaking on him too, and it was just happening. There's nothing you can do about it. So that actually made me feel a little bit better. Like, okay, it's not just me that happens to him too, and it's no big deal. It's a crack happening, and he just break it in half. No big deal.
Oh, I remember that one.
And
I was like, oh my gosh, he just
yeah. I mean, the bright side is you end up with more stones. And it's as simple as that. Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah. So, if you need to, take a step away, take a breath, and reapproach. My words of wisdom.
Excellent advice.
Kurt, what do you got?
Well, real quick, I just wanted to show this. This is like a little carrying case. For if you want to collect small samples, and so forth. You can. I got this over at Michael's for like $10. Comes with 50 little bitty cases, and it's what I use for out in Kentucky, and when I go out to places, it comes in handy. It's cheap and carries a lot of small stones. But for my words of wisdom, I was just gonna say, lately I've been watching these. I'm always on the weather app, just looking at the weather conditions all around, and I'm seeing like fire weather move in. So whenever you go out rock hounding, be aware of of the conditions where you are. If there's one road in, one road out, please just be careful and watch for the fire danger signs and so forth. You don't want to get trapped out there. So just be careful and know your conditions where you're hunting with fire weather approaching.
That's great advice as well.
I add a quick comment really quick.
Yeah.
So, Kurt, the way that you said itty bitty case, like, immediately Sir Mix-a-Lot like popped into my head. I mean, this Sir Mix-a-Lot, right? Where it's like itty bitty waist, itty bitty waist, round thing in your face. That's Sir Mix-a-Lot, right?
I don't know, but like, I wish we wouldn't get a copyright.
I mean, I'm
slam.
not singing
could
it. I'm saying.
Yeah, no, but
Everybody hum that in your head right now. And
if not, someone needs to make a remix and name themselves Sir Mix of Rock, and then make a song, call it Itty Bitty Case. That's my comment. Just
Thank you for that. and very wise words, Kurt. To stay out of the fire danger for sure. On mine, let it go. Like today, I needed to stay positive and love my life. This is a coffee shop sweatshirt, so you too can have one of these. Surf Down Coffee. But I swear, man, like, sometimes it feels like the tide is just hitting you on the head, like over and over and over and over. And I like, even out running the dog, somebody totally like rubbed me the wrong way. And so like, let it go. Just let it go. And this is breaking opals, and the glue that didn't stick to the toothpick while you're micro mounting or whatever. But double breath in, long breath out, and maybe just leave it. Walk away, let it go. Because there's just way more cool things out there to concentrate on than whatever that negative thing was.
it's not worth it to hold on to
Good
it.
advice.
Yes.
And then go downstairs and hit the punching bag. And so that's a heap of wisdom. And Jared, if somebody hasn't seen all of this wonderful stuff that you're offering, where would they go to see and hear the array?
Currently rockhounding.com is the best place to stay up to date with what we have going on. All kinds of great stuff up there on the website, and the podcast is up there, and you can see some images from each one of these issues that we are talking about. So go check it out. It's a lot of fun, and you can take us with you on your next rockhounding drive.
Yeah, that's what you need is Jared and Sarah in your ear chatting about the cool stuff while you're hiking out to get your killer ground scores. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or even while you're creating. Listen while you create.
Yep.
Yep.
You can, back to back the podcast, this one, that one, this one, that one. Yeah, thank you so much, Jared, for coming on. We're gonna put the link to the website down in the description so that you can just easy peasy link up there, and then of course leave any comments for Jared down in the comments. While you're at it, in the description there, check out the email for which you can send your own shows and tells to, and we'll do a feature on you during our next viewer show and tell. Plus, if you'd like to get an invite to our Discord, you can hit that same email, request an invite, and we'll send that to you. And then you can join us for all of the rock chatting all week long to get you from podcast to podcast, and lots of shows and tells and all kinds of random stuff. So go check us out there. And I don't know, tonight's theme couldn't be better. We're all wishing for spring, and it's the growth of all of those rocks out there. It's nice to think of the rocks growing too. That's warm, fuzzy.
I guess you could say it was on point.
Oh my gosh, we almost should just leave it there. But in the words of a podcast watcher and friend, Clear Crystal Vibes, Mary Beth, stay crystal. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Rock on.
Bye.
Peace out.
And we're not recording. I should leave this in too, huh?